This is Unit 3, Triangles, Lesson 3.6, Shortcuts, Triangle Shortcuts. Side, 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 angle, angle, and angle, angle, side. We're going to be talking about informal proofs. You're going to look at this web page. Make sure you add the time and location that you are working on here, as well as a parent-guardian sign-off. All right. Quick review. You haven't done this in a while. I'd like you to graph that line. Pause the video, graph, and then restart. Okay, welcome back. Your job here is to get y by itself. So step number 1, we're going to get y by itself by doing minus 7x. Minus 7x, so I have negative 4y equals negative 7x plus 16. I'm going to divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4. Y equals double negative makes a positive 7 over 4x minus 4. To graph that, we start at negative 4 on the y-axis. And it's a positive line. So we're going to bunny hop, rise 7, 6, 7, and run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have our line. And it tilts upward from left to right because it is a positive line. Learning how to graph lines is one of the most essential skills in this class. Today, we're going to talk about triangle shortcuts. Before you leave, you're going to be familiar with this term, side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, C, PC, TC, and freebies. So when triangles are congruent, we have a total of 6 items congruent. We have 3 sets of congruent sides. So here I'm going to do an S for each pair. So 3 sets of congruent sides. And then we have 3 sets of congruent angles. So 1 set, A for angles, 2 set angles, 3 set angles. So there's a total of 6 pairs of things congruent. 6 pairs of things congruent when triangles are congruent. Now, when we talk about things being congruent, you also want to watch out for the freebies. And the 3 main freebies, these are things that are congruent even when they're not marked, of course, are vertical angles. Hatch, that's an A. A reflexive side, so a side that is shared exactly by 2 triangles. So in this case, that side would be reflexive, that's an S. And then an angle that is shared by 2 triangles. So we have this blue triangle and this red triangle, and they exactly share this angle right here. That is a congruent reflexive angle. Those are freebies, things that are congruent even when they're not marked. Now, what we're going to learn today is, again, when triangles are equal, we have 6 pairs of things equal. We're going to learn shortcut. This shortcut says if I have a minimum of 3 pairs things equal, then all are congruent. The other 3 pairs are congruent. If you have a minimum of 3 pairs of things equal, it automatically forces everything else to be congruent. So we're going from defining congruency being 6 pairs equal to down to only 3 pairs. It's a shortcut. And there's 4 of them. first shortcut is this. It's called side, side, side. And it says if all corresponding angles are congruent, then the triangles are congruent. So if you have a pair of sides congruent, another pair of sides congruent, a third pair of sides congruent, then we can say the triangles are congruent. Let me give you an example. Let's see what we have here. Let's mark our freebie. Our freebie is right here. We have a reflexive side. So this is going to be a side. And then we have pre-marked another pair of sides, 1S for each pair, and I would put that just in one triangle, left or right. And here we have another pair of sides. So I can say these entire triangles are congruent because of the shortcut side angle side. That implies that the angles are going to be congruent as well because of the shortcut. So side, side, side is your first shortcut. This reads, if sides are congruent, a squeeze angle is congruent, and then another set of sides are congruent, then the triangles are congruent. Let me show you what this looks like. So if I have a pair of congruent sides, 1S, and then I have another pair of congruent sides, and then I have an angle that's squeezed between the two sides, squeezed between, it's a hinge between the equal sides, an angle. Then the triangles are equal by the shortcut, or congruent by the shortcut side, angle, side. For example, let's mark our freebie here. Our freebie are the bow ties or vertical angles, so A for angles. And then we come over here and we have a pair of sides, another pair of sides. So we know these triangles are congruent by side, angle, side. Now this one I call the hamburger. You'll see why I use that icon in a minute. Let me just read it. If you have congruent angles, then a squeeze side and another pair of congruent angles, then the triangles are congruent. Let me give you an example here. Let's say we have a pair of congruent angles. And another pair of congruent angles. And then between those angles, we have a side squeezed between. This reads angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. The way I'm visualizing this, just to give you a visual, is you have two angles. So think of this here, giant two angles. So that's the hands, and then you think of the hamburger patty being the side. So that reads angle, side, angle. The side has to be squeezed between the two angles. I call that squeezed between. That's angle, side, angle. So you're squeezing a big, juicy, in and out, drippy hamburger, or Five Guys Burgers and Fries hamburger, or smash burger, hamburger, whatever your hamburger of choice is, and it's dripping juices on the other side, and you're squeezing it. That hamburger bun is the side, and your hands make the two angles. me give you a couple examples here. So we're going to mark our freebie. And we have a pair of angles. Here's another pair of angles. And then the side is sandwiched between the angles. The side is sandwiched between the angles. So that is called angle, side, angle. There's a freebie here. Our freebie is this reflexive side. Let me squiggle it. So that's a reflexive side. And then here we have one pair of congruent angles. So there's one. Here's my second pair. So there's that. And you can see that that side, once again, is sandwiched between the angles, between two separate angles. So this also reads angle, side, angle. Okay, this is number 4. Let's just read it. This is called angle, angle, side. If you have a pair of congruent angles, another pair of congruent angles, and then a congruent tail side, then the triangles are equal. So what you're looking at here is one pair of congruent angles, and then another pair of congruent angles, and then a side that is a tail of only one of the angles. So this could read either side, angle, angle, or angle, angle, side. Either one of those is the correct reading of that. But the side is a tail of one of the angles. What I'm visualizing here is if you have an angle, so dog snout, and another angle, dog rear end, and then a side, tail, that is going to read angle, angle, side. Let's do an example here. So here we have a pair of angles. And then we have another pair of vertical angles here. And then we have a pair of sides. Oops, let me keep my color straight. That's supposed to be red. This reads angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Or side, angle, angle. Same thing. All right, now, here's another example of what does work. We have a pair of angles, another pair of angles, and then a side. It's a tail of one. So that reads angle, angle, then a side. Or it also reads side, angle, angle. Both of those are good. Now, what does not work as a shortcut is two sides, then an angle. Side, side, angle. That's called the ambiguous case. I'm going to show you a quick video of what that looks like in a moment. The way you remember that is side, side, angle doesn't work is the fact that it's no bad words spelled either way. No bad words spelled either way. That'll have about a 10-second understanding for some of you. No bad words spelled either way. So students, here's an example of why side, side, angle doesn't work. So triangles are built with 2 equal sides and 2 equal angles and 1 equal angle, but it's not between the sides. Watch carefully why this doesn't work. So you add the equal sides. Notice the angle is not sandwiched between the sides. So if you watch, when you have 2 sides and then an angle, you can get 2 different kinds of triangles. See, that third side doesn't necessarily match up. So side-side angles, traditionally called the ambiguous case. There's one triangle. And you can have another overlapping triangle. Both of them qualify as side-side angle, but notice they are not congruent. So side-side angle is called the ambiguous case. It does not work. Okay, so let's watch out. I'm going to show you how to find these triangles. Ready? I'm going to do this first one, and then you're going to do the rest. First, you have to mark the freebies. Vertical angles, reflexive sides, reflexive angles. Wherever you mark them, A for angles, S for sides. Then you determine whether it's congruent by side, 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 angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. Or determine if it's not possible. I'd like you to take a wild stab at these yourself, pause the video, and then restart. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you did. So for this one, you immediately should have seen the fact that we have a reflexive side. So there's an S. And then I have a one pair of angles up here. That's an A. Another pair of angles here. That's an A, and the side is between. So this is angle, side, angle. This one down here, I have a pair of sides. And I have another pair of sides, and then I have a reflexive side. So this one should have been side, side, side. This one right here, we have a pair of sides already marked for us. And we have a pair of vertical angles. And we have another pair of angles already marked. So this one's a tail. This one's angle, angle, and then a side. Or side, angle, angle, same thing. This one we have a reflexive side. And we have a pair of angles. Another pair of angles, and those pair of angles squeeze the side. So this one should read angle, side, angle. Need to know how to spot these. Ready? Okay, you try this on your own again. Pause the video, then restart. Welcome back. Let's see how you did on this page. So for this one here, we have a pair of sides, another pair of sides, and then we have a reflexive side. So this one's side, side, side. This one I have a pair of sides already marked. I have a pair of angles already marked, and I have a reflexive pair of sides. Excuse me, that's side. So that one reads side, angle, side. Here I have a pair of congruent sides, another pair of congruent sides, bow ties in the middle. So this should read side, angle, side. You have a pair of angles, pair of vertical angles, bow ties, and then a side. And this reads angle, angle, then a side. It's a tail or side angle, angle. So if you really want to be on top of it, what I recommend you do is take 2 minutes and verbally rehearse to yourself, flip through each page and verbally rehearse what you just learned, and that will cement this information in your head.